So if the only reason that you get joy out of bodybuilding is if you win or lose, if winning a show decides it was successful and anything other than winning makes it unsuccessful, then I have bad news for you. You're going to lose more shows than you win. Very few guys win most of their shows. Like, I don't think people realize, for example, go to your local show. See how many guys are competing. Go to the next local show. See how many guys are competing. And then ask yourself, if there's only 3 local shows in my state all year, then isn't an overall title at a local show actually impressive? Only 3 people get to win them a year. You know what I mean? But the problem is people really set this whole thing on success or failure. And it's like, now that my career is over, competitively, when I look back at the best memories from competing and the things that I got the most out of it, not a single one of those memories is on the stage. I just put a post about it last week. Like, the greatest part of bodybuilding is being in the gym with your buddies, kicking the shit out of each other, talking trash. I always joke that if people overheard the conversation between me and my friends in the gym, they'd think we hate each other because we're so mean.
Right, yeah.
Because that's how guys have fun.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, the other part is bodybuilding is a simple thing. You set yourself up and you say, okay, here's where I'm sitting. My goal is X. And then you work backwards and you come up with a plan to how to achieve that goal or how to attempt to achieve that goal. You follow that path. You either succeed in getting the goal or you don't. And then if you don't, you say, okay, when's the next goal to achieve this again? You plan out another date when you're going to compete again and you work backwards. You do the same thing. Well, that's everything in life. It's funny to me, but what do you think it is when you decide you want to be a doctor? I want to be a doctor. You decide that when you're 16 years old, let's say. You're like, okay, well, I better get good enough grades in high school to get into a good college. Then I got to go to the right college. I got to get good grades there. Then I got to do this. And you follow this path, and then at the end of this journey, you're a doctor. Well, the same thing applies to that, and all of the principles that are involved in bodybuilding take place in that. When guys are saying, like, oh, man, it's my birthday and I can't have a cheat meal. It's like, well, it's his birthday and he has exams tomorrow and he can't go out. He has to study, or he doesn't have any money because he's in debt up to his eyeballs for his doctorate he's working for, whatever it is. There has to be sacrifices made to achieve goals. And I think if you keep that in mind along the way and keep your eyes open, you'll see other opportunities. I left out the fact because I was just trying to not be too wordy. During the process of becoming a pro bodybuilder, the supplement company that I worked for, I eventually bought and owned the whole thing.
Really?
I owned 5 nutrition stores for years that I had worked at for $8.25 an hour at one point in my life, and I did that by seeing opportunity. I got to a point, it's obviously a small company. I was the highest guy on the totem pole, but there was nowhere to go. Yep. And I had a big name, and I said, screw it, I can't do this anymore. I quit. I went off and opened up my own training studio. That was cranking. I was making great money. And then the guy that owned the company reached out to me and said, hey, I want to sell. Do you want to buy? And I was like, yeah, I have money now because I did this. So I went over. It gave me the opportunity to do that, all while bodybuilding. And I think if I could push one thing for every guy watching this is, you can't look at bodybuilding and say, this is going to be my life. I'm going to pour everything into this and it's going to work and I'm going to make money. Like, I can tell you this, there are guys that are much better bodybuilders than me who've placed way, way better that would trade me in a heartbeat as far as where our careers went, because they won. You got to remember, like, guys, when you're watching this, a small level show, you win $10,000 for first place. Do you know what it cost you to do that show?
Probably more.
I used to pay Chris, and this is back in the day, $3,500 to prep me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Now you're down to $6,500. You don't have sponsors? Cool. You got to fly to the show. Oh, your wife's going to come? All right, that's $1,000. We're at $4,500. You're going to have a hotel for 4 days? That's another $1,000. We're at $5,500. You see what I'm saying? Oh, you used food and drugs? Boom, 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 on and on and on. Next thing you know, you spent 16 weeks to win this show and you got $2,000. Well, $2,000 divided by 16 weeks ain't much of a living,
Right, literally.
And step back even further from that, how do you pay for all those things I just listed? You need to make sure you have your life in order to do this.